Okay, now let's take a look at how we solve inequalities and eventually show how the solution is graphed and how we understand it. The thing is, we have this exercise, this example now, where a number minus 3 has to be less than -4. So think about that for a moment. And we need to come up with numbers so that this statement is true. So each time I use an x value here when I plug it in, and when I plug it in, it happens to be true, that number is going to be part of the solution. Let me be clear about that. And I think it's better to use some examples. What if x was -5, for example? So you have -5 minus 3 would be -8. And -8 is less than -4. That is true. So I know that -5 would be part of the solution. But what if I said, is it possible to use 2 as part of the solution? Well, think for a moment. 2 minus 3 is -1. But is it possible to state that -1 is less than -4? That's not true. So -1 right here, plugged in here, would not be part of the solution. But we are not going to do this trial and error exercise, but we just want to determine where do we start, and then from that number and on, either to the right or to the left, is part of the solution. And that is what we do whenever we solve inequalities. Please take into account that every time we solve an inequality, we are also using the same idea we learned when we were solving equations. What does that mean? We need to isolate the variable. It means, in this case, solve for x by reversing the process. In this case, we've got x minus 3 on the left side of the inequality. So what do I have to do to get rid of this minus 3? I'm going to add 3 on both sides. And as a result, I have that x is less than -1. And with this, I can now write down and also graph the solution set. It means all the numbers that satisfy this condition. How does that work? Well, I have a number line over here. Let's say that this is 0, this is -1 and 1, and this is -2. So I'm going to stand at -1. Do we include it or not? We don't include 1, which means that we've got the circle right on top of -1. And then this is all the numbers that are to the left of -1, because it's all the numbers less than -1, which means that the arrow is going to point at the left. And this is the solution, algebraically and as a graph of this inequality. That's all.